Hi everyone, welcome back. Welcome to the season of mess, and it's also Messy May, so there's a lot going on. Let's get started. So this week Claudette and I will be working with pastels, pens, and inks. And I have decided to work with PanPastels. This is my set of colors. And they also come with these special sponges. They're very dense, but you can certainly use a cosmetic wedge or any other type of sponge for this application. So I'm going to use the PanPastels on a Gelli plate with stencils. Here I'm showing you this 12 by 12, which would be wonderful, but I decided to use masks this time. But I want to say, if you haven't done this process, once you lay down your mask or your stencil, you get this really nice grip, if you will, and your stencil or mask will stay down very nicely. Now we're ready to work with color. Again, this is the very first time I'm doing this, and the application is really nice. It's very smooth. So this takes a while to do. You'll see me blending colors right directly onto the Gelli plate, and I'm fast forwarding so we can get through this. There's a lot of footage, and I'm going to say from the start that I had to fast forward. If this was a class, it'd be something else, but I mean, I would keep it at normal speed. But for this video, we're just going to quickly go through everything, and this way you can just slow it down at your own pace if you like. But anyway, here we go. Okay, so the next step is to apply a layer of white acrylic paint, and ideally I think it's better if I was able to use a fluid white acrylic, but I have a bottle, but it's very low, so I'm just going to wing it with the heavy body. And I'm lifting the gel plate so you can see that it's not blurred. It is just because of the thickness of the Gelli plate and the colors that are left on the other side. So that's why it looks so blurry. Anyway, there's my almost empty jar. So once again, I'm going to fast forward and then meet you at the end when we pull our first print. Okay, so for the first pull, I've used a piece of newsprint, and you know, usually the first pull is sometimes not the best, but I think in this case it was using newsprint. It still turned out wonderfully. It's just a little lighter than I thought, but I'm still happy with the results. You know, you can see the colors, and it'll be a great piece to tear up. And you learn that, or I learned that I could have done a better job of blending, you know, the flower, especially having that circular rather than an all over quadrant of paint around it. Here is some acrylic, let's see what color, it's an iridescent white or something like that. And now I'm using a piece of Dina Wakley ledger collage sheets. These are wonderful. And now you'll see what happens here. And it's looking better, or more to my liking. As you can see, it really picked up the deeper colors, and it's really nice. I like this. So again, for anybody who doesn't have ledger paper, vintage ledger paper available, these collage sheets are wonderful, and they're fun to print on top of as well. So there you go. That was the second pull, and I'm not going to waste what is below there, so I'm just using little strips of ledger to get every bit. And so I will continue on and see you at the end of the next round of pulls. So let's take a look at these prints. There's the first one. And you can see how much lighter the colors are. They're there. Maybe if I used a darker palette, obviously the results would be different. But all in all, it's a fun technique, and I will be trying this again soon. Here's that Dina Wakley collage sheet. And this one, this is where I used, what was that? The paper bag. That's a paper bag I used, yeah. And this was newsprint that had paint on it. And here I'm showing you that if, you know, sometimes you just have to tear pieces in order to see things differently. It really helps. So don't be afraid. It's just paper. Tear it up, and now I can identify the areas that I like and make sure to use them. And I wanted to bring this one to your attention. This went through a couple of passes. It's a large sheet of vintage ledger, but on the bottom right hand corner you'll see that I stenciled a pattern there, and I actually used the PanPastel, and surprisingly it does not move. It's on there. It's like permanent now, so that was a nice surprise. So that's something else you can do. So this particular piece is all inked up. I think I mentioned before I was playing with inks on paper, so I saw this and I decided to just use it with the Gelli Plate to pick up any residual paint, and it looks kind of cool. So there you go. Okay, so what I did off camera was I selected some of the papers, tore them up, and just glued them down onto my pages here. So no rhyme or reason, just picked out the ones that were speaking to me. And so the next step is to get on with the use of the pen and inks. And again, I was inking up papers the other day, so I want to show you what I figured out I would do. Well, here are some doilies, and those are fun. they withstood all the ink and water. Now these particular pieces, yes, I've stenciled with acrylics here, black acrylic paint rather, but underneath all those pieces are inked. So I believe that fits the criteria for this week. So I'm thinking of using some of these as well. And then I went ahead and pulled more inky papers with colors that coordinated with our gel plate prints. So again, I'm going to fast forward and continue collaging. Okay, so now we're going to be working with inks, and I decided to use the Dina Wakley spray acrylic in this deep blue color called Night, but I'm not going to use the spray. I'm going to use a stencil, and I've poured a little bit of the ink spray there, and I'm going to use a brush. And of course, I'm not going for a perfect stencil. I just want the coverage on the page, and I think this will be fun. And so I will fast forward again and have you watch and meet you at the end. Okay, so I'm adding a few touches. I really like the color choice, and to be honest, I would have been fine just leaving it as is, but I thought I should look for a focal point. So I'm just going to clean up and put everything aside, and when I come back I'll explain how I finished this spread. All right, be right back. So it took me a while to even come close to finding a focal point, and it wasn't until I remembered these wonderful collage faces by Dina Wakley that I was able to finish this layout. So again, I'll list which set this came from. But I chose this one, and instead of applying it directly to the background or to the page, what I did was I took another piece of inky painted papers, and I glued it down to that. Then I fussy cut it. I added color to her eyes, cheeks, and lips, and then, you know, used glue and put it down there on the right. Now, before I did that, I noticed that I wasn't happy. Let's turn to look at the left page, and there was this, for lack of a better word, blob of that deep purple that just, I couldn't take my eyes off of it. It bothered me. It was just too much. So I went ahead and added more collage papers and ink to tone it down. Then I decided to collage even more with the addition of that stenciled flower up on top, And then on the far left edge of the page, I did, I put down a piece, I cut out a scallop, and instead of using the scallop, I used the waste paper, if you will. So I glued that down. Again, I make my mark. That's also from Dina Wakley. So I applied the same process. I glued it down to inky paper, then just tore it and put it there on the left. And now I feel that it's more cohesive, and it's yeah, I like it a lot. The only additional paper I added on the right next to the girl, you'll see a piece there with some sloppy handwriting, asemic writing there, and that's all I added to that side. So all in all, it was fun. It took me a long time, I'll be honest, to get this down. I don't know if I was just feeling rusty. I was certainly motivated, but it was slow going, and I wasn't going to fight that. You know, you just have to go with with whatever's happening, and it'll be okay. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that it inspires you in trying maybe some of these techniques, or, you know, hopefully it's a springboard to other things. But I thank you for taking the time to watch, and can't wait to see what you guys come up with this week as well. All right, take care, everyone. Bye.